Hi friends! Today we're seeing Bones and All. I'm really excited because it's been a while since we've got a romantic horror film. So, I'll put you down. You know the drill. The movie is based on a book of the same name. This one stars Timothée Chalamet, who, we all know from several different things. I don't really have to introduce him. But it also stars Taylor Russell, who may look familiar because she was from Escape Room. The film is about two cannibalistic lovers who flee together on a road trip. The cannibalistic in this, I have not read the book, is very intriguing because I guess in my mind, I'm so used to this being vampires. So cannibals, what does that mean? Is it a kink? I don't know. I'm excited to find out. This is meant to be a slow moving movie, so I will keep that in mind. But I'm interested to see where it goes and just switch up what I'm watching lately because I've been watching so much TV and so many horror films that I feel like have been done before. So it's really exciting to watch something fresh. And because it's based on a successful book, hopefully it has legs. Also, I saw that Chloe Sevigny is meant to be in this film. So I'm really excited to see her. She is great and she does choose really interesting roles. I'm going to a premiere screening tonight in one of my favorite cinemas, Luna, which is an independent cinema here in Perth. Let's go and check it out. And I'm gonna let you know whether it's worth running out to go see right away before the end of the year, or if, like the slow moving film, you should just take your time. I really think that this one is not gonna be for everyone. It seems to have a certain stylization to it. So I'll be able to let you know whether it suits your personal taste and whether it's worth your time without spoiling it. Let's go to the cinema. Let's go. I loved it. That was such a surprise. I shouldn't be surprised. It is by the same director, I did not mention this at the start, as Call Me By Your Name and the 2018 Suspiria. And I don't know what I was expecting, but not an emotional roller coaster from start to end. And I mean every emotion. I think I went through every single emotion humanly possible in that cinema. What an actual trip. What an actual event. The movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, so it is a long movie and it is quite slow at the start while they're setting up the characters, but it goes into places that you're just not imagining. It's very deep and very, I wouldn't say, it's hard to say psychological, it's like emotional, but it is psychological in the sense that this is a story about people and their real demons and their real mental struggles with these events that you just could not even imagine. So, does that give you a good rundown? The film is about two cannibals that meet in this world that's invisible to our world, but within our world almost. And I mean that kind of like as a metaphor, but it is really realistic and it does feel like our world for many reasons. But it also feels like this strange walk of life that we get to discover. And I haven't seen a film kind of devour, good terminology there, cannibalism like this. It's kind of very loosely, but the idea of, Interview with a Vampire, or even What We Do in the Shadows, where they go into the whole slice of life, or, it isn't really a slice of life because it does have an arc, but it goes into the depths of what it is actually like to be one of these people. And I was not expecting that. And from there, it is just like this incredible journey of all of the sad aspects, the loneliness and hope. And it's just brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I can definitely say it isn't for everyone. And I think a lot of it is interesting in the stylization and not for the reasons I expected. So it is kind of like a dry film. It's based in like, I want to say like Midwest to South. I'm very bad at like geography when it comes to America and what's like the Midwest, but it's the Midwest, I believe. And it's got, you know, the dry, dusty, I was going to say outback, dry and dusty desert, and it really has that kind of grainy, textured feel. And so it, as slow as the story kind of starts out as, but it's very intriguing. And the nuggets of information that you're given, there's just so much to explore within this land, and the way they stylize it is just so realistic and not over the top. It's not like they make it fully saturated, rich colors, especially because there's a lot of blood. You don't see any of that kind of grading. It's really come as you are, which I think is why it feels so within our world. Also, it has this strange thing where each state that they do states and they do months come up on the screen, and it's confusing for a foreigner like me because the states are coming up with just the abbreviation letters, so just keep an eye out for that, especially if you're from another country. It's very confusing what's going on at the start because I think the first one isn't like very straightforward. So again, something that's within our world. Of course, everything is meant to be on planet Earth, I do understand that, but it's really interesting when they refer back to certain places that we know locations exactly. And another thing they did to make it quite like realistic is instead of having these beautiful like sweeping shots, especially because the couple are driving in the car for a lot of the time, they do handheld, and they do handheld nearly everywhere. There's some really interesting shots when we get to the end, but throughout most of the film it's handheld. So when you're driving, you can see the bumpy road because someone is literally driving behind them getting the tailgating shot. So it's really interesting in that regard, and the camera just goes all over the place. If you're not someone who likes shaky cam, probably don't watch this one in theaters, but it's kind of like all over the place, and it was really immersive, and I really enjoyed that. It has like this really strong stylization that is very different to what we're seeing in horror right now. It's going its own way, and it's very confident in doing so, and for me, it pulled it off, especially with this kind of story overlapping that stylization and these characters. It just worked so beautifully. Let's talk about the horror aspect without giving anything away, but there is a lot of gore in this film, and it goes 100% all the way. It goes completely there, and I was not expecting that, and it really catches you off guard. Honestly, there were moments in this film where I didn't think that things would happen, and then they pushed the envelope further, and it is so much more dark and disturbing than I expected. Not just in the kills, but there's just other aspects around that and other things they can play with, situational based concepts that just, even the thought of it, if they get it brought up when they talk about their lives, this couple, and things that have happened to them and other people they interact with, you learn all of these different aspects that could happen if you're in a situation where you ate people. And it was so much more disturbing than I expected. And I really love when movies have that kind of eeriness tension and they're quite slow, and then they have those moments of payoffs where it's so disturbing and really hits you right in the gut. I just think it's really well deserved because you've given the audience all of this information, and they've really, sat on the end of this hook, and then to give them this emotional payoff, it really was effective. I just cannot believe how many emotions I went through. It was just a roller coaster, and the acting was amazing. And one weird thing that they like to do in this film is have a lot, and it's kind of like Call Me By Your Name almost, they have a lot of mouth fluid, nose fluid. Fluids are passed around. I don't know how to explain that. When you watch it, you'll see it. The acting is done in a way that it is capturing all the ickiness of being a human. I guess all facets of being a human, whether that's pretty or not. So I think that's really interesting in the way they did that. If you've seen it, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. But for me, one of the most effective parts of this film is something I don't want to talk too much about because I want it to be a complete surprise, but it's one of the characters that is introduced that is so creepy, and it really chilled me to the bone, and it felt just too real, and I just I was squirming the whole time. It's really interesting in a film like this where it is dry, it is a slower build-up, and you see those spats of disturbing aspects and blood and gore, but then there's one character that will literally, I would rather watch anything else, blood, guts, gore, than watch this guy on screen for 5 minutes, because I was squirming. I could not. He was... yeah, he's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And it was an interesting film to watch and think about the aspects of, is this actually scary for everybody, or it's a particular kind of scare it's not even trying to be psychological, but it really gets you on an emotional level. The last thing that I really want to touch on is the romance, because I went into this thinking it was a romantic horror, and it is no warm bodies. It is no spring. This is a disturbing horror. It's definitely got disturbing aspects, but it's more of a drama horror. There is, of course, a love story sprinkled throughout, but there's a lot of self-discovery, and it's about like coming to terms with who you are and what you are and how to go on. I enjoyed the first half of this film, but I would have to say, if you do feel a little bit bored, the second half, it just takes off. It starts kind of slow, and, you know, as I said, it really warms you up slowly to the characters in this situation. But then once it takes a turn, it's just accelerated to the end, because you become so attached to these characters and to this world where these people are just living among us. It's just mind-blowing. Anyway, I enjoyed this one. I was emotionally affected by this one, and I enjoy that. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. It is not for everyone. If you are into slow drama horrors with disturbing aspects sprinkled in and some gore, just to put a little cherry on top, I highly, highly recommend seeing this in the cinema. But if you're not sure about it, maybe just wait for it to come out on VOD, but I 100% recommend watching it regardless. I think it's already in my top 10 for this year. For originality, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I just loved the journey it went on, and with the stylization pairing, I think it was just really something unique. And with scare, again, this is hard because I was petrified in this film. We've talked about scares and how there's different types of scares, but for me, this one was like squirming your seat, very uncomfortable. And I'm gonna give it a 6. I think that's going to be high for people. I don't think it's going to be scary for everybody, but if you're a woman, it could be quite scary. I can't wait to see what you guys think about this film. Again, I don't think it's for everybody, but who it attaches to and who latches onto it, you'll be emotionally changed, affected. You cry. You might cry. I also would really love to know if you've read the book and if you recommend it. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. And I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.